Alrighty, folks, we're now 5-0 in our last 5 Gold Club tier package plays on my premium page. 12-1 in our last 13 in that same membership. We had Elon +2 yesterday, and they got the job done for us. That was an outright victory. Of course, I've got another Gold Club tier package play going off here for you today. If you sign up for my full access, all-inclusive Gold Club membership, you're going to get access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to my free pick video here today. For Friday, February 21st, 2025. Happy Friday to you. The weekend is finally here. Congratulations, you made it. Of course, if you're joining me for the first time here today, my name is Brock Page. I've been dishing out free sports picks on YouTube since 2016. Once again, folks, we are 5-0 in our last 5 Gold Club plays, 12-1 in our last 13 in that same package. Of course, if for some reason you're not interested in the Gold Club package, but you still think, yeah, I could use like one premium selection a day, well, you may want to think about signing up for my daily best play. Costs just 6 cents a day for 30 days worth of access. That's it. It's, I guess, what the industry, not the sports betting industry, but just marketing in general, I think they would call that a loss leader. 6 cents a day for 30 days worth of access. But it's a good package, and we win a lot of games in it. Once again, that's our daily best play. But we are the most hot right now in the Gold Club package. With that, folks, let's go ahead and dive into some free content here for Friday. We're going to start off with some action. Bowling Green taking on Toledo. 6 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Toledo's -7.5. Totals 157 and a hook. Toledo's 16-10 overall for the year. 8-2 straight up at home. Bowling Green just 10-16 themselves, 2-8 straight up on the road. The Falcons took the loss in 7 out of their last 10. And they're allowing over 76 points a game. And quirky enough, their opponents are making 79% of their free throws against them. That's second worst in the NCAA. That's normally not a metric that I use, when it comes to making a decision with my handicapping. I just thought that was kind of a neat, quirky stat that whoever they end up fouling, they just end up drilling like all of their free throws against them. But anyway, they're taking on a Toledo squad who got the W in 7 out of their last 10 themselves. They're averaging 78 points a game on offense. They're doing a great job with the ball in their hands. And I'll tell you what, they secure the ball as well. The Rockets rarely turn it over. They're 11th in the nation in fewest offensive turnovers. Sonny Wilson scores 15.5 points a game, 40% from three land. And Sam Lewis shoots 45% from beyond the arc himself. Toledo saw overs recently versus Miami, Ohio, Northern Illinois, and Ohio. Bowling Green went 4-2 to the over in their last 6. I like Toledo -7.5. Over 157 and a hook. All right, next contest, Sacred Heart taking on Merrimack, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Merrimack's -6.5, totals 143. Merrimack's 14-12 on the year, 7-3 straight up at home. Sacred Heart, 11-14 themselves, 4-8 on the road. The Pioneers dropped 4 out of their last 5 meetings with Merrimack, having a tough time on defense this year as well. Sacred Heart allows 77 points a game, double-digit 3 balls per contest. And they're facing a Merrimack squad who got the W in 6 out of their last 9. They're definitely a tough team to score points against. As a matter of fact, the Warriors are in the top 20 in defensive scoring. They're allowing only 64 points a game. They're also 35th in defensive turnovers, top 25 in fewest three-pointers allowed. The Warriors went 7-2 to the under in their last 9. Sacred Heart, they saw unders recently versus Fairfield, Manhattan, and St. Peter's. Give me Merrimack -6.5, under 143. All right, next contest should be a good one. Marquette traveling to Radnor to take on Villanova, 7 o'clock East. Marquette's -1.5, totals 142 and a hook. The Marquette saw unders in 6 out of their last 9, 10th in the country in steals. And no real surprise, the Golden Eagles allow only 67 points a game. Meanwhile, Villanova's been pretty good on defense themselves. They're allowing only 67 points a game as well, similar to Marquette. And the Wildcats are currently 4th in defensive rebounds. Now, the Cats went 5-4 to the under in their last 9 as well. I like the under, 142.5. All right, next game, St. Peter's taking on Mount St. Mary's, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. I believe that's on our big screen. There it is. Mount St. Mary's is -4, totals 132.5. Mount St. Mary's is 15-10 on the year, winning record against the point spread. Meanwhile, St. Peter's is 9-13 themselves, losing record against the number. And more recently, the Peacocks failed to cover in 6 out of their last 9. They're in the bottom 10 in the nation in shooting from the field. Meanwhile, Mount St. Mary's on the other side, they got the W in 4 out of their last 5. Just 68 points a game they allowed during that span. Dola Adebayo leads the Mount in scoring. Carmelo Pacheco shoots 45% from beyond the perimeter. Mountaineer games went 60% to the under in their last 10. Give me Mount St. Mary's -4, under 132.5. The Mount, a part of the Bad Beats program, Bad Beats section of ESPN with Scott Van Pelt, by the way. That was, Thursday? Anyway, next game, Dayton. Loyola, Chicago, 7 o'clock East. Dayton's -1.5, totals 140 and a hook. Dayton saw overs in their last 3 straight. Overs against the likes of Duquesne, Fordham, and Virginia Commonwealth. They also went 6-3 to the over in their last 9. And they averaged over 75 points a game on offense this year. Now, oddly enough, Loyola saw their last 3 get over the number themselves. The Ramblers are averaging 74 points a game themselves. I like the over, 140.5. Next game, little Ivy League action. Harvard, Princeton, 7 o'clock East. Princeton's -8.5, totals 139. Princeton's 16-8 on the year, 7-3 straight up at home. Harvard just 9-13 themselves, 4-9 straight up on the road. The Crimson failed to cover in 4 out of their last 7, and they allowed over 78 points a game during that time frame. They're facing a Princeton team who scores nearly 75 points a game themselves, double-digit three-pointers a game for them. They currently rank 14th in three-pointers made per contest. That's 14th in the entire country. Xavier Lee averages over 16 points a night, 5 boards, 5 assists for the guard. Blake Peters averages just about double-digit points a game himself. Harvard saw overs recently versus Columbia, Penn, and Brown. Give me Princeton -8.5, over 139. Next ball game, Cleveland State, Detroit, 7 o'clock East. Cleveland -8 away from home, total 136. The Vikings are 18-9 on the year, 63% against the point spread. Detroit on the other side, just 8-20 overall, losers of 8 out of their last 10. The Titans are averaging only 66 points a game this year, just 40% shooting from the field. They're also in the bottom 15 in three-pointers made. Now, Cleveland State on the other side, they're allowing just 65 points a game themselves. They're 12th in the country in defensive turnovers, very disruptive on the defensive end of the court. Now, the Vikes are also in the top 25 in fewest field goals allowed. Of course, no real surprise. Both schools went 6-3 to the under in their last 9, respectively. I like Cleveland State -8, under 136. Next game, Fairfield, Rider, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Rider is -4, totals 139, and that is a game that should be up there behind me. There it is. Once again, Rider -4, total 139. Riders 10-16 on the year. Fairfield just 9-17. The Stags are also 2-10 on the road, and they took the loss in 6 out of their last 7. Now, the Stags average just 67 points a game. They're the 6th worst field goal shooting team in the country. Meanwhile, Fairfield makes just 39% of their attempts from the field as well. Now, Rider on the other side, they've been real good against the point spread recently. They're 8-2 ATS in their last 10. They rarely get into foul trouble. The Broncs are 26th in fewest free throws allowed. Now, on the offensive end of the court, Riders led by TJ Weeks, who averages over 13.5 points a game, 85% shooting from the foul line. And Jay Alvarez, he's averaging nearly a dozen points a game himself. The Broncs went 6-2 to the over in their last 8. Fairfield went 60% to the over in their last 10. I like Rider -4 over 139. Next game, Green Bay, Robert Morris, 7 o'clock East. Rob Moore's -14.5, totals 145. RMU's 20-7 on the year, 81% against the point spread. I believe this is the best covering school in the nation, if I'm not mistaken. Meanwhile, Green Bay on the other side, just 3-24 overall, 1-14 on the road. The Phoenix are a bottom 10 field goal making team, bottom 10 in offensive boards. Meanwhile, Robert Morris on the other side, well, they're allowing only 69 points a game on defense, 9-1 straight up in their last 10. And during that span, the Colonials covered in every single one of those contests I just mentioned. Alvaro Folgueras averages 14 points a game, 9.5 rebounds per contest. The 6'9 Spaniard is also shooting 41% from beyond the perimeter. And Amarian Dickerson scores 13 points a game himself. Both schools saw 4 out of their last 5 contests fall under the total, respectively. I like Robert Morris -14.5, under 145. All right, next matchup, Cornell, Yale, 7 o'clock East. Yale's the 10-point favorite, totals 159. The Bulldogs are 16-6 on the year, 9-0 straight up at home. Yale's also covering in 71% of their games this year. Meanwhile, the Cornell Fighting Andy Bernards are 13-9 on the year, but they cover in only 50% of their games. The Big Red also failed to cover in their last 3 straight. They allowed nearly 90 points a game on average during that span. Now, Cornell defends the 3-ball poorly, and they rank 337th in field goals allowed per game. And unfortunately for them, Yale's one of the best shooting schools in the country. The Bulldogs are 7th in field goals, 6th in three-point percentage. John Polakidis scores 19 points a game, 42% shooting from downtown. Meanwhile, Townsend and Mbeng, they both shoot 42% from outside the arc. Yale saw overs versus Penn, Columbia, and this very Cornell team. Meanwhile, 5 out of Corn's last 9 got over the number themselves. Give me Yale, -10, over 159. Next game, Dartmouth, Penn, 7 o'clock East. Dartmouth is -1.5 away from home, totals 147.5. The Big Greens, 12-10 on the year, 70% against the point spread. Meanwhile, Penn, 6-16 overall, losing record against the point spread. The Lakers have also lost 7 of 11 in the Palestra, and they, simply put, just stink at shooting the basketball. Penn makes only 66% of their free throws, 41% from the field. They're taking on a Dartmouth squad who covered in 7 out of their last 8. Covers against the likes of Cornell, Columbia, and Harvard. Dartmouth is limiting opposing shooters to just 30% from 3-land. They've been tough against the deep ball. They're also 11th in free throws allowed. They rarely get into foul trouble. The Big Green saw their last 3 straight stay under, 6-3 to the under in their last 9. I like Dartmouth -1.5, under 147.5. All right, next game, Canisius taking on Marist, 7 o'clock East. Marist is minus 13.5, totals 130 and a hook. Marist is 18-5 on the year, 9-2 straight up at home. Canisius just 2-23 overall, 1-12 straight up on the road. Canisius failed to cover in 7 out of their last 10, and they are a bottom 10 point producing team. The Golden Griffins are also dead last in offensive rebounds, dead last in free throw attempts. And they're taking on a Marist squad who's allowing only 63 points a game themselves, 21st in field goals allowed. The Red Foxes also got the W in 8 out of their last 10. And during that time frame, the under cashed in 60% of those games for Marist. Canisius saw 6 out of their last 10 stay under the total as well. I like Marist minus 13.5, under 130 and a hook. Next game, Oakland PFW, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Purdue Fort Wayne is minus 4, totals 149. Now the Mastodons of PFW, they are currently 18-10 on the year, 11-1 straight up at home. PFW is covering in 63% of their ball games. Meanwhile, Oakland on the other side, just 12-15 themselves, 4-9 in their travels. When it comes to covering the number, the Grizzlies failed to cover in 5 out of their last 6. Failures to cover against the likes of Detroit, Youngstown State, and Northern Kentucky. Meanwhile, on the defensive end, Oakland's had some problems guarding the long ball. They rank 329th in defensive three-point percentage. And they're facing a PFW team who rarely turns the ball over, does a nice job protecting it. They're not lazy with it. And I'll tell you, Purdue Fort Wayne, they like to shoot the long ball themselves. The Mastodons are drilling nearly 11 three-pointers a game, top 5 in fewest turnovers. Rashid Bello drills 42% of his long balls. Jalen Jackson scores nearly 20 points a game. And no real surprise, PFW is a top 25-point producing team. Now, PFW games went 7-3 to the over in their last 10. Oakland saw overs in their last 3 straight. I like PFW minus 4 over 149. All right, next game, Niagara taking on Siena, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Siena's minus 7, totals 137.5. Siena's 12-14 on the year, losers of 4 out of their last 7. The Saints are rebounding poorly on offense, and they're struggling getting to the basket. Siena's currently 322nd in field goals made, and they're facing a Niagara squad who covered in 3 out of their last 4. They're led by Olumide Adeloden, who's averaging double-digit points per contest. Jahari Williamson splashes 40% of his attempts from beyond the perimeter. 5 out of the Purple Eagles' last 9 got over the line. Meanwhile, Siena went 7-2 to the over in their last 9 themselves. I like Niagara plus 7 over 137.5. All right, next contest, Columbia Brown, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Brown is minus 5, totals 151.5. Both schools are 12-10 on the year, but it's Brown who's actually had their difficulties at the foul line. They are a bottom 10 free throw shooting team, just 64% from the stripe. Brown also took the loss in 5 out of their last 9. Losses to the likes of Princeton, Dartmouth, and this very Columbia team. And speaking of the Lions, well, they have little problems getting to the cup. Columbia averages 80 points a game, 11th in assists per contest, moving around, getting people involved. Kenny Nolan scores 13 points a game, nearly 40% from beyond the perimeter. And Avery Brown, he's averaging double-digit points a game himself. The Lions saw 6 out of their last 9 get over the total. 5 out of Brown's last 9 got over the number as well. I like Columbia plus 5 over 151.5. Next matchup, Northern Kentucky taking on Wright State. That's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern tip. Wright State is -3.5 at home here. Total's 146. Wright State's 9-3 on their own hardwood. NKU 3-9 on the road. The Norse also covers in just 28% of their games, one of the worst covering teams in the entire country. NKU also struggled this year defending the deep ball. Northern Kentucky's 339th in defensive three-point percentage. And they're facing a top 20 three-point shooting team in the nation in Wright State. Keaton Norris shoots 43% from long range. Logan Woods, 48% from three land himself. And those two guys aren't even the team's leading scorer. That goes to Brandon Noel, who's averaging over 18.5 points per contest. Now, both schools, they saw overs in 6 out of their last 10 outings, respectively. I like Wright State -3.5 over 146. Next ball game, Manhattan taking on Iona, 7 o'clock East. Iona's -3 at home, totals 147. Iona's 11-15 on the year, losing record at home. Manhattan's 13-10 themselves, 64% against the point spread. And more recently, the Jaspers covered in 7 out of their last 9. They look really good during that stretch. Manhattan averages 76 points per contest. They average 76 a game during that span I just mentioned. Devin Dinkins shoots 46% from three land. He's second on the roster in scoring. If for some reason you catch this game on ESPNU or ESPN Plus, one thing you'll notice about Dinkins, not a big guy. He's probably the smallest guy in the conference. Dinkins stands at just 5'10", 165 pounds. And Will Sidner, he's averaging over 15 points a game himself. Now, they're facing an Iona squad who's just 5-6 at home this year. 313th in defensive field goal percentage. You know, it's rare to see a college basketball team with a losing record at home. Even the bad ones tend to play 500 basketball on their own court. So once again, pretty rare to see a losing record at home, which Iona does have. Once again, just 5-6 in their own building. The Gales are currently 313th in defensive field goal percentage. Got to do a better job contesting shots. Of course, on the offensive end, they're having problems there as well. The Gales are a bottom 25 field goal shooting team. They're averaging only 68 points a game. Now, total-wise, oddly enough, Iona went 7-2 to the over in their last 9. Manhattan saw overs in their last 3 straight. I like Manhattan +3 over 147. Next matchup, some more MACtion. Kent State, Miami, Ohio, 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Kent State's the 1-point favorite. Total's 143. This line did flip. It's been flipping back and forth. We've seen Kent State +1, -1, 1.5. So this line could be different by the time you're watching this video. But as of right now, Kent State is -1. Total's 143. Kent State, 18-8 overall, 308th in offensive field goal percentage. Meanwhile, Miami on the other side, 19-7 on the year, 12-1 straight up at home. But I'm going to go back to the Golden Flashes because Kent State is actually shooting only 30% from outside the perimeter. So even though they've got a good record, they've been winning a lot of games, they don't shoot it well from long range on offense. Really, the strength of the program has been their defensive play. But I'll tell you, they're facing a Miami squad who got the W in 7 out of their last 10 themselves. And once again, winners of 12 out of 13 on their own court. The Red Hawks are scoring 81 points a game on average this year, and they're 11th in the country in shooting the three-pointer. Cam Kraft drains 42% of his deep balls, team leader in scoring. And Brant Byers knocks down 40% of his long balls himself. Both programs saw 5 out of their last 9 get over the line, respectively. I like Miami, Ohio, +1 over 143.5. All right, next game of the night. A lot of eyes going to be on this one, and it should be a fun one. Michigan State taking on Michigan, 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Michigan Wolverines are -3 at the as the home team. Totals 152.5. Michigan's 20-5 on the year. Perfect 12-0 straight up as the home team. Meanwhile, Michigan State 21-5 themselves, but they failed to cover in 3 out of their last 6. Failures to cover against the likes of Indiana, UCLA, and USC. And I'll tell you, as good as the Spartans have been, they are one of the worst three-point shooting schools in the game. Sparty averages only 5 made 3 balls a game, and they're making only 29% of them. They're shooting just 29% from beyond the arc. They're facing a Michigan squad on the other side who limits opposing shooters to just 40% from the field. Winners of their last 6 straight. And I'll tell you, during that time frame, got real excited. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to me? What in the world? All right, sorry about that, guys. Anyway, where were we? Sparty, averaging only 5 3 balls a game, 29% shooting from beyond the arc. And they're facing a Michigan squad who limits opposing shooters to just 40% from the field. Winners of their last 6 straight, really starting to hit their stride. You know, this is the time of year you want to start ramping things up and playing your best basketball. And I'll tell you what, during that 6-game winning streak, the Wolverines averaged 76 points a game. Big Vlad Golden scores over 15.5 points per contest, 64% shooting from the field. And Trey Donaldson knocks down 40% of his attempts from downtown. Now, Michigan went 4-2 to the under in their last 6. Sparty saw 5 out of their last 6 stay under the total themselves. I like the under 152.5. All right, next and final breakdown in college basketball. Milwaukee, Youngstown State, 9 o'clock East. YSU's -1.5, totals 151. The Penguins saw unders recently versus Cleveland State, Robert Morris, and Green Bay. They're currently in the top 25 in fewest three-pointers allowed. Meanwhile, Milwaukee saw unders recently versus Cleveland State, Northern Kentucky, and this very Youngstown team. That head-to-head matchup featured just 143 total points. That's 8 points less than the current posted number. Give me the under 151. And with that, folks, we're going to jump into some NBA action. Knicks, Cavaliers, 7 o'clock East. Cleveland's -7, totals 241.5. The Cavaliers are 45-10, first place in the East. They're also 25-4 at home, covering in 65% of their games. Meanwhile, New York, not too shabby themselves, 37-18, but they do have a losing record against the number. They've struggled against the point spread. And more recently, New York failed to cover in 5 out of their last 7. Failures to cover against the likes of Chicago, Atlanta, and the Lakers. And I'll tell you, my biggest concern for New York in this spot here, it's actually their defensive play. The Knicks are currently the worst three-point guarding team in the game. Their opponents are knocking down a league most 38% of their three-pointers against them. And no real surprise here, folks. This New York defensive effort is currently dead last in blocks per game. Of course, they're taking on a Cleveland squad who loves shooting the 3-ball, and I tell you, they're the best to do it in the game. Cleveland makes nearly 40% of their 3-balls as a team. They've got the highest three-point percentage in the entire NBA. Darius Garland drills 43% of his long balls, 21 points a game for him. And Donovan Mitchell, he's averaging over 23.5 points a night himself. Now, as a team, Cleveland got they've got the second highest offensive field goal percentage in the entire NBA. Knick games went 8-2 to the over in their last 10. Cleveland contests went 60% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I like Cleveland -7 over 241.5. All right, next matchup, Bucks, Wizards, 7 o'clock East. Milwaukee's -7.5, totals 227. The Bucks are 31-24 on the year. Washington just 9-45. The Wizards have a losing record against the point spread, no wonder. And they're just 5-23 on their own court. Of course, the Wizards allow more points a game than any other team. That's not overly shocking. And they're taking on a Milwaukee squad who is the second best. They're the second best three-point shooting team in the league. They're only behind Cleveland in offensive three-point percentage. Giannis Antetokounmpo averages over 31.5 points a game, 12.2 rebounds a night for him. And Dame Lillard scores over 25.5 points per contest himself, 7.5 assists per game. Milwaukee saw overs in 5 out of their last 9, throwing out that Clipper game. Meanwhile, Washington games on the other side went 7-3 to the over in their last 10. I like the Bucks -7.5 over 227. And real quick, you're going to want to listen up because unfortunately, I have no free pick for you in that Grizzlies Magic game. There might be a play on the side or the total in that one on the premium page. But unfortunately, I cannot give you a freebie for the Grizzlies Magic game. Next matchup, Heat Raptors, 7:30 Eastern start. Miami's -3.5, totals 220. The Heat's 3 games below 500, 12-17 on the road. Miami's also covering in just 39% of their games this year. And when it comes to offensive production, the Heat's been, putrid over the past handful of games. Matter of fact, the Heat averaged just 105 points per contest in their last 10 outings. Now, when it comes to shooting the basketball, the Heat's in the bottom 5 in field goals. And they're facing a Toronto club who covered in 3 out of their last 4. Covers against the likes of Philadelphia, Houston, and Oklahoma City. 5 out of the Raptors' last 9 stayed under the line, throwing out that Cleveland game. Meanwhile, Miami matchups went 5-4 to the under in their last 9 themselves. Give me the Raptors +3.5, under 220. Next game, Pelicans Mavericks, 8:30 p.m. East. Dallas is -5, totals 236. The Mavs are 30-26 on the year, 17-11 at home. The Pelicans on the other side just 13-42 themselves, 4-3 straight up in their travels. Now the Pelicans allow more field goals a game than any other team besides one. They're also giving up nearly 120 points per contest. And they're facing a Dallas club who's in the top 10 in field goal percentage, top 5 in free throws. Kyrie Irving scores over 24.5 points a game, 41% shooting from beyond the arc. And Max Christie, he's making 45% of his long balls in a handful of games with Dallas. The Mavs saw 7 out of their last 10 get over the number. The Pelicans went 60% to the over in their last 10. I like the Mavericks -5 over 236. Next contest, Pistons Spurs, 8:30 p.m. East. Detroit's -4.5, totals 233. The Pistons are 3 games above 500, winning record on the road. San Antonio just 23-29 overall, losing record against the point spread. Of course, the Spurs are going to work without Victor Wembanyama. That was unexpected and a damn shame. I mean, he just played in the All-Star game, and this is kind of a freak injury. He's got a blood clot in his shoulder. And he was competing hard just in the All-Star game. What was that, Sunday? So it's a shame he is out for the year. We'll not see Wemby back, but good thing they caught it, and hopefully they take care of it, because blood clots are definitely nothing to joke about, nothing to fool around with. Who was it? Tommy Frazier, the old Nebraska quarterback, option-style quarterback. He had, I believe it was him who had blood clots, cut his career short. But that's bad news for those guys. It's bad news for the league. This was an attraction for the league. You know, they literally had games over in France, and he was the main draw. But, you know, listen, even with Wemby in the lineup, the Spurs still dropped 7 out of their last 10. So this really, it does affect them, but they've been playing pretty bad basketball with him in the lineup. So anyway, the Spurs dropped 7 out of their last 10. Failed to cover in all of those contests except for 3. The Spurs are a bottom 5 rebounding team on defense, 25th in field goals allowed. Meanwhile, the Pistons, on the other side, they're 7th in the league in rebounds per game on offense. Detroit's also on a 4-game winning streak, 6-2 against the spread in their last 8. Cade Cunningham averages 25 points a night, 9.4 assists per game. And Malik Beasley drills 41% of his attempts from three-land. Now, Detroit saw overs in 5 out of their last 9. Spurs games went 6-3 to the over in their last 9 themselves. I like Detroit -4.5 over 233. Next game, Timberwolves Rockets, 9:30 p.m. East. Houston's -4.5, totals 216. Now, the struggling Houston squad lost 7 out of their last 9, and they failed to cover in all of those contests except for 2. Now, Minnesota's 31-25, winning record on the road. Minnesota's making 15 3 balls a game, top 3 in offensive three-point percentage. Anthony Edwards, he's drilling 41% of his long balls, 27.5 points a game for him. And Naz Reid knocks down 40% of his attempts from downtown. Now, when it comes to defensive play, Minnesota's 5th in the league in defensive scoring. And I tell you, that's bad news for this Houston team, who already lost 8 out of their last 10 head-to-head meetings with the T-Wolves. If you're into historical trends, it's been all Minnesota. As far as this year is concerned, the Rockets are currently dead last in assists per game, second most blocked shots on offense. Now, Houston saw unders recently in 6 out of their last 10. Houston saw unders recently versus Oklahoma City, Milwaukee, and Portland. I like the T-Wolves +3.5, under 216. Next game, Thunder Jazz, 9:30 p.m. East. Oklahoma City's -15.5, totals 235 and a hook. OKC's 44-11 on the year, first in the West. They're also 18-7 in their road games, and they're covering in nearly 70% of their contests this year. Now, Utah on the other side, well, they're just 13-41, 6-19 at home. The Jazz dropped 8 out of their last 9 meetings with OKC, and they're actually turning it over more times a game on offense than any other team. Now, on the defensive end of the court, the Jazz are allowing more three-pointers a game than any other team as well. They're taking on a Thunder squad who's 5th in points per game themselves. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander He's averaging 32.5 points a night, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Lou Dort's knocking down 41% of his attempts from outside the perimeter. I wrote down Dort. Man, it's late. These late shifts are absolutely... I hope you guys are enjoying these videos because these late shifts are killing me. They're destroying me. They're taking years off my life. So I really hope you enjoy them because it sucks to do this so late. Just kidding. I love it. It's the best. All right. OKC saw overs in 6 out of their last 10. Utah went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 themselves. I like Oklahoma City minus 15.5. Over 235 and a hook. Next and final breakdown for the video. Thank goodness. Warriors Kings 10 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Golden State's -2. Totals 235. Warriors contest went 6-3 to the over in their last 9. Overs against the likes of the Bucks, Bulls, and Lakers. The Warriors are currently 4th in the league in three-pointers made. Meanwhile, Sacramento's a top 10 point-producing team themselves. 6th in field goals. Their games also went 6-3 to the over in their last 9. I like the over 235. And with that, folks, we're going to dive into our quick pick recap starting in college basketball. I like Toledo minus 7.5 over 157 and a hook. Merrimack minus 6.5 under 143. I'm 5-0 my last 5 Gold Club plays on my premium page. 12-1 of my last 13 in that same package. Give me the under 142.5 in that Marquette Villanova game. Mount St. Mary's -4 under 132.5. I like the over 140 and a hook in that Dayton Loyola Chicago matchup. Princeton -8.5 over 139. Cleveland State -8 under 136. Rider -4 over 139. Robert Morris -14.5 under 145. Yale -10 over 159. Dartmouth -1.5 under 147 and a hook. Marist -13.5 under 130.5. PFW -4 over 149. Niagara +4 over 137.5. Columbia +5 over 151 and a hook. Wright State -3.5 over 146. Manhattan +3 over 147. Miami, Ohio +1 over 143.5. Give me the under 152 and a hook in that Michigan State-Michigan matchup. Give me the under 151 in the Milwaukee-Youngstown State game. NBA, Cleveland -7 over 241.5. Bucks -7.5 over 227. I have no free pick available for you in that Grizzlies Magic matchup. Toronto +3.5 under 220. Mavericks -5 over 236. Pistons -4.5 over 233. T-Wolves +3.5 under 216. Thunder -15.5 over 235 and a hook. And give me the over 235 in that Warriors-Kings game. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my premium page. And if you do end up getting a membership here today on my premium site, just a friendly reminder, you're going to get access to that membership every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships during that time frame absolutely free. They're going to be included with your membership. That's why I always tell folks, that Gold Club package, it's a full access, all-inclusive membership. Gives you access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. But most importantly, folks, gotta thank you for joining me on this free video. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, folks, happy Friday to you. Best of luck to you. I look forward to seeing you later on today on my premium page.